Hello, I'm Dr. Wyatt Woodsmall, and I want to tell you about an exciting program called Trainers Training. Now, I know many of you train for a living, and all of us at some point have tried to train other people to do other things. So let me tell you a little bit about where this training came about and what some of the things involved in this training is. I'm a modeler. A modeler is a curious occupation. I go around figuring out how people who are experts do what they do and designing ways to train other people to do that. And when I started modeling, then I found out relatively I could figure out how people did what they did, but then the challenge was, how did I transfer those abilities to others? So I needed to understand training. So I set out to explore who are the top trainers in the world, how did they do what they did? And I went to a bunch of courses on training. Years ago, I went to a course at the National Training Laboratories on training. And I went in and I said, what about training? And they said, training works. It's been working very well for 2,000 years. And I said, that's not my perspective. My perspective, it's been failing miserably for 2,000 years. If it worked, there would be a simple thing. If training actually worked, then each generation would be better than the previous generation. And we would continually build on the shoulders of those that went before us. But in certain fields, some cases, we got to go back hundreds of years to find the people that we consider were the best in that area. We've lost what they have. So we need to capture this, and we need to be able to bring it on. Now then, so I set out looking at training, and I went and studied everything I could find out about training. And as a modeler, I was able to model some really extraordinary people, one of whom I think was perhaps the greatest educator of the last century. His name was Michel Thomas. He was able to teach people to speak a language proficiently in 5 days. That's right, I said 5 days. When I first heard it, I couldn't believe it either. But once I met the man and discovered what he was doing, he was able to do some remarkable things. So what I've done is taken and synthesized everything out there around training and put together an incredible training program. And I've delivered this program. I've delivered a 20-day trainer's training 33 times in 13 countries on 3 continents. So it's not something that's just a brand new idea that came off the boat. It's something that's been practiced. It's been something that's refined. And each year I incorporate and continue to improve and make it more and more effective. Now, the trainer's training consists of 2 things. The first half is on training design. And we put together probably the most sophisticated training design model in the world. And this training design model is based on the way people learn. So if you're going to teach, you can't just be focused on teaching, because teaching and learning are 2 parts of the same cybernetic process. So you can't understand one without the other. Each of us has a preferred teaching style, and we use that teaching style and we train people the way we would like to learn. And in the process, we usually leave out 3/4 of the world that learn in a different way. So we've put together a model where we teach to each of 4 different learning styles, and we do it in a certain sequence. There's certain questions that we ask. Why? What? How? What if? And in the what quadrant, it's not just about giving information, it's about understanding so people can use the information. And how do you create understanding? And we have a process where we work from concepts to principles to process to procedures. So people are not just doing things, people know why they're doing things, they know why it works, they understand it, they can be generative and they can modify it. So the first half of the training is on design. The second half is on platform skills. If you're going to be a trainer, you've got to stand up in front of a live audience and look them in the eye. And there's certain things you can do that allow you to be effective, and there's certain things that are going to be distracting. So you've got to master 4 things. First, you've got to master your physiology. You've got to master your body. You've got to learn to let go of all tension. You've got to learn to stand still. And once you can stand still and let go of tension, then you have to learn how to move, how to use your hands, how to work an audience, how to be effective, how to use your physiology. The second tool you have to master is your voice, because your voice is a primary medium of communication. So how can you use your voice for maximum impact on an audience? The third thing you have to do is you have to master your space. So you have to be able to utilize the space you're in. And we have certain secrets that we call anchoring, how we can anchor certain things. And then fourth, and maybe most important, you've got to master your audience. You've got to be able to master the minds and the hearts of your audience. Now, much training fails because people simply sit in a class and then they go back out and they don't put into effect what they've learned. The whole key to training is how do you keep people from going back to the way they always were. So you've got to move them to a point where they can't go back. And that's what the real essence of training is all about. And so in this trainer's training, that's one of the things we focus on. We focus on how you can communicate with the head so people understand. How can you communicate with the heart so people are inspired and excited and motivated to change? And how can you communicate with the body so the body actually goes out and takes action? So that's what this trainer's training is about. And as I said, once again, it's probably the most sophisticated, the most refined trainer's training you will find anywhere in the world. Now then, this is your opportunity to learn to be a master trainer. And if you pass up this opportunity, then yes, you can continue to train. You can continue to be a mediocre trainer. And if that's what you want to do all your life, then certainly you're entitled to do that. But someday you may look back and you go, I had the opportunity and I didn't take advantage of it. Don't let this one pass you by. Be there. I'll look forward to seeing you in the trainer's training because you need to teach me a lesson and I want to be there when you do that. Thank you.